Hey everybody, welcome back again, and today I'm taking a look at another figure that has actually been out for a little while, and that's going to be Bingo Toys BT008-01 Hertz, which is their version of a Technobot Strafe, and as you know, that's part of the combiner, or one of the combiner team members that forms the Computron combiner. So I consider this a little bit of a second chance unboxing of this figure because when it initially was announced and came out, it was an easy pass up for me, really because of my experience with an older Bingo Toys figure that I had gotten years ago. It was their version of Bumblebee the movie, Shockwave, and I believe it was their first release, and it was a terrible figure for me. It had a lot of QC issues, just a lot of problems. It even had some missing parts when I got it, and I was just super unhappy about it. So when this figure came out, again, this was an easy pass for me, but after it had come out and I saw some really rave reviews and really good pictures of this figure, I kind of had a little bit of regret of not getting it. So I was really excited when they did a second run of these. I actually got this one from Show Z Store, so I figured I would do this second chance unboxing just to give everybody an idea of what this thing looks like coming out of the box. So this is a somewhat stylized version of Strafe. Not pure G1, but it is pretty good looking just from the box art. So we'll go ahead and get this guy out of the bag and take a look. So the packaging here is really nice. It's not cheap packaging. That was one of the things I remember about that first Bingo Toys figure I got, was how terrible the packaging of it was. It was paper thin, and everything was crushed on the inside. But we've got some really cool product artwork that actually looks to be a real product shot and not an AI image on there. So we've got the front. The side is another product site. On the side we've got another product shot in alt mode, and then on the back we've got some more product shots. We've got it showing him in his combined right arm mode, bot mode, and alt mode, an alternate shot. So let's go ahead and get this open. And this thing is pretty heavy. It's a lot heavier than I expected it to be. So I'm hoping that's a little bit of an indicator of build quality. So let's get this off. And let's first take a look at what comes with the figure. So we get the instruction sheet, no collector card that is kind of standard with other third-party figures. We get a tray with some weapons. So we get his two swords. They're actually really nice looking. So let's kind of get a close-up of these. So they're really nice, painted really well. This is almost like a copper color orange and a pearlescent, somewhat metallic white for each of the two swords. They are identical. Put those off to the side. We get his two guns. So the handles fold out, it looks like, and they're really nicely painted as well. Very, very substantial in their weight. It looks like this also. This is part of the transformation, I guess, for his alt mode of how the guns fix to the wings. So those are really nice looking. And we get some wing tips for alt mode. So those are really nice looking. I know these peg in bot mode as well. So really nicely painted. The paint on these is really, really nice. Much better than I expected, even after seeing some of the online reviews of this figure. And then finally we have his left hand. As you know, Strafe does form the the left hand of Computron. And it's really nice, very heavy. Let's take a look at the articulation that we get in the hand. So each of the fingers is on 3 pins, so we get articulation in all 3 segments of each finger. We get a little bit of splaying, so you can splay the hands out a little bit. The thumb is on a baseball and then 2 additional pins, so you can get some nice articulation in the thumb as well. And then the wrist, we've got a wrist swivel, and then you can tilt his hand out as well. So very nice articulation there. This thing is really, really nicely painted. Very, very nice. It's really good looking. And from the size of the hand, this looks like it's going to be on par with the other Masterpiece scale combiners that we've gotten, Devastator, Bruticus from Magic Square. So really nice looking there. So let's put those off to the side, and then let's get the figure out. And this figure is really heavy. I mean, it's much heavier than I expected it to be. There's some nice die cast here in the thighs. So the back of the thighs is die cast. That knee joint is die cast as well. Let's get his wingtips on, his shoulders. And let's take a look at articulation. So for the articulation, we get the head, looks like he's on a ball joint. We get all the way around, a little bit of down, a little bit of up. You can see that on the shoulders. We can get them all the way out. You do have to tip up these exhaust nozzles all the way around. These are friction joints. At the bicep, we get a swivel, and we get a nice little plate there that lets you kind of get that around without it interrupting movement there. The elbow, we get a full elbow bend, really nice looking joint there that kind of expands as you articulate that arm. And then for the hands, let's see what we've got. They are kind of tight in there. So the fingers, we get individually articulated fingers. And they are each on, it looks like 2 pins, so you get some good articulation there with the thumb on a ball, and you do get a wrist swivel, so that articulation looks pretty good there. You can get some nice poses with those fingers. For the waist, we get a nice ratcheted waist swivel. You kind of have to, looks like you have to watch out with the cockpit here, the way it folds over on the back, not to bump it. And I don't think we get an ab crunch. I don't see one right offhand. We get some hip skirts on the front, hip skirts on the back that are individually articulated, and side skirts. So the leg is on a ratchet, and you can get pretty good up and down there. To the back, you can't actually get quite as much, and I don't know if you can see here the way that the hip is connected, so it's on this kind of cantilever rotation point here, so you can't really get it back as much, and I don't think that rotates independently. It does not rotate independently, so you can get it up a good way forward get it back about this much. At the knee, we've got a pretty good all the way back. I mean, really, you're only hindered by the wings here. We do have a thigh swivel, and that leg goes all the way up on a ratchet. As for the feet, we do have a nice ankle tilt here and an ankle rotation from left to right. And you get a little bit of toe down and toe up. You're a little bit limited in how much that can tilt up, though, just because of the wings here on the leg. But you could turn his foot out to the side a little bit and get a little bit of toe up. So really nice looking there. This figure is really, really nice looking. I understand why it gets such positive reviews online. Even here, we've got a little bit of you get a little bit of kind of reverse butterfly articulation, and you do get a butterfly in his shoulder as well. So just the articulation on this thing is really fantastic. The face sculpt is really nice. You don't get any alternative faces. So it's just kind of a very static face sculpt. I would say probably that face sculpt is the weak point of this, although I will say those metallic blue eyes are really, really cool looking. Really the only thing that it's lacking is a true ab crunch, which I'm not seeing that. You get kind of a reverse ab crunch, but not a forward ab crunch, it doesn't look like. So overall, this figure is really, really nice. He is a little bit taller than I would expect, but that's kind of in line with some of the other combiners that we've gotten. The Fans Toys Constructicon combiners are a little bit bigger than you would expect them to be. The Dreamstar Constructicons are a little bit larger than you would expect them to be. X-Transbots, not so much. I think they're a little bit more in line, scaled with some of the leader figures like a Megatron or Galvatron or Optimus Prime. They're a little bit smaller than the Fans Toys counterparts. So this thing is going to be a big boy. But it looks like what they're doing is kind of an all-in-one combined mode where there's not going to be a whole lot of parts forming like there are on the X-Transbots, which will almost undoubtedly have parts forming. So this figure is really nice looking. I'm really happy with it. It just looks great. The quality in handling this thing so far feels really nice. We're going to see what the transformation looks like. I'll probably transform it off camera, come back. But again, thank you for watching this segment of this. If you like this content, please like, please subscribe. I'll keep doing more of it, and we'll see you again. All right, here we have Strafe in his alt mode, which is, I guess, the Cybertronian jet mode, and he looks really good. You know, pretty faithful to the original, even though it's a very stylized robot. I mean, it still looks like Strafe. There's a couple places where I probably need to peg this in a little bit better. The transformation is tricky, especially in the legs, not so much in the upper body and the arms. It's just getting the wing pods and the shins to kind of swing around and everything to fall in place. This part of the transformation right here is really tricky because there's a wing part on the shin guard, or the forearm guard from bot mode, that has to slide up into this wing right here. So it's a little bit tricky to kind of get everything turned and flipped and to slide in there, especially without rubbing the paint. That kind of scared me a little bit, but overall he looks really good. This thing always reminds me of, I don't know, I may be aging myself here, but when I was a kid I used to love the late 70s Buck Rogers TV show, and this kind of reminds me of the ships that they had in that TV show. I remember seeing I'm a child of the 80s, so I remember seeing it in reruns when I was a kid in the early 80s, and thinking that ship was super, super cool. And this kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, overall, he looks really good. Really happy with it still. I'm going to try to get this thing in combined mode, and we'll take a look at it there as well. Stay tuned. Alright, here is Strafe in his arm mode, and I think there's still probably a little bit of cleanup that I need to do. This part in the bot mode chest, where you have to uncurl the arm and fold the combiner peg out that pegs into the chest, is a little bit tricky. This part is a little bit tricky, but just looking at the articulation of the arm, I mean, this thing is going to be massive. But you do get an elbow bend, not quite 90 degrees, but it's workable. You do get a bicep swivel, and it is on a ratchet, so this is the waist ratchet from earlier. And then we already covered the hand articulation, but we'll just take a look at them again. So that's what you get. You get wrist swivel all the way around. You can get, the hand back motion, splayed fingers, and then you get the standard articulation in the thumb. So overall, really good looking in combined mode as well. And really at this point, with the new Newton figure coming out, I really think that they're probably going to push these through pretty quickly, a lot like Dreamstar did with their Devastator. And I'm really excited to see what the rest of these pieces are going to look like. So again, I appreciate everybody watching. If you like this content, please like, please subscribe. I'll continue to do more, and we'll see you next time.